Welcome to the Business of Craft podcast presented by Stitchcraft Marketing. For nearly 16 years, we've taught retailers, manufacturers, and makers in the craft space how to thrive. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you like what you hear, leave a review to help others find our content.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business of Craft. I'm Leanne Presley, your host, and today at our agency, we love to just punt around. So today I'm going to say we are going to unravel the threads of social media marketing strategy for you. The topic is utilizing your social media to build community. And as always, today is a snippet from our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses, that we released in May of 2025. You can get yourself a copy by going to our website at stitchcraftmarketing.com/magic. And you can pick up either a paperback or you can order a Kindle version. So we know today people are on average on their phone, on social media, about 2 hours and 23 minutes a day, right? That is just crazy to me. Well, at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, well, I've done that, on a Saturday afternoon, or I'm feeling sick or whatever. I'm on my phone and I'm scrolling. So, this is the moment where I have that feeling of being both your consumer, because I'm a crafter, and also a marketing expert. And so on the one hand, I'm horrified by that statistic, right? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we could be doing so many of our crafts instead of scrolling on our phone, right? But as a marketer, I feel like it's an opportunity for you, right? If you're doing your social media well and you are creating a community for your customers, this can be a super powerful tool. Many of you know we did a 2023 industry-wide survey, and we reached out to over 900 craft business owners. And from that data, we learned that over 61% of the survey respondents said that they were engaged in social selling and reported growth from that activity. And 41% of craft retailers said that social media is one of the top tools in their toolbox for generating sales. So this is it's a tool you cannot ignore. Now, having said that, I also know a lot of you are thinking, oh gosh, I'm spending so much time doing social media and it's just not doing the heavy lifting it used to be doing years ago. And I'm here to tell you, you know what? You're absolutely right. At the agency, we have this great perspective where we can see across, kind of a high level view of all of the clients that we're working with. And I can tell you that, yeah, I'm getting that feedback and I'm seeing that because we're doing social media for clients. It's just a different world now. The same activities that we were doing 12 to 18 months ago are not producing the same results. We're not getting the same conversions. We're not getting the same engagement. It's just a lot harder to make those social channels work for you. So if you're listening to this and you're experiencing that, I want you to know it's not you, right? It's the algorithms, and things have changed. And, I think there's a lot of pressure on these companies to make money, just like anything else. And so a lot of them are pay to play sandboxes. That's what I refer to them as. And so instead of years ago, you'd put something up on Facebook and all your followers would see it. Well, now you got to pay for that. You got to pay to boost it, or you got to pay for advertising. And so again, I just want you to feel assured it's not you. It's definitely the algorithm. So I'm going to give you some really valuable tips today on how you can squeeze more juice out of that experience. And I'm going to go through some of the channels very, very quickly. Again, this is just a snippet from the book. We go very deep into all the different channels and the benefits, the pros and cons of each of them, and how you can decide which ones you're going to post on and where you're going to invest your time. I do want you to think about your social channels as a place where you can create community. We know craft customers and really people in general, they are starving for this sense of belonging. And so you have this unique opportunity to give them what they want and to create that loyalty. If you've listened to any of my broadcasts before, my episodes, you know that I talk a lot about the know, like, and trust funnel. because trust is what we're always trying to nurture with our customer. And if you're not familiar with that concept, you can go back to episode 2 of this season. And I spend 30 minutes going through the entire concept. And it's really a fundamental marketing concept. So I would encourage you to learn that and practice it in everyday social posting. So like anything else, before you start posting on social, you're going to need a plan. We wouldn't start jumping on our sewing machine and sewing a quilt or picking up our needles and knitting a sweater if you didn't have a pattern. So the same is true. You don't want to start your content without a strategy. So here's some of the things that we think about when we're working with clients. First, what's your mission? What are your values? You really want to make sure that your brand and the values that you put forth are coming through your social media. What is that value that you're providing to your customer? Of course, we always want to work around the structure of SMART goals. We want to be able to measure what we're putting out there. And if you are thinking, I don't know what SMART goals are, I'm going to refer you back to episode 5 of this season's Business of Craft. Again, I spent a lot of time talking about SMART goals and how to set those up. So we just want to make sure SMART goals are part of our plan. Your customer avatar. Who are you speaking to? Making sure that your messaging and the channels that you're selecting are in alignment with your target customer. You want to look at platform tactics. What type of content is performing well for your specific type of audience? What is resonating with them? Your brand guidelines. I always want you to have those at the ready. Consistency in your tone and your graphics and your voice is super, super important. And if you don't have brand guidelines, you can put those together where you're collecting, what colors are you using? What logo are you using? What thumbnail version of the logo is going to be on the channels? All of those things can be put into a beautiful little style sheet that you can have at the ready so that all your content is consistent. What content pillars are important to you? Are you the type of business that is putting forth the notion that you are an educational provider, for example, or you want to be known as the business that's entertaining? And of course, you're going to have a little promotion in there, but your content pillars are going to reinforce what your values and what your brand stands for. So you want to take some time to think about that. What's your engagement strategy? This is something along the lines of how often will you check your messages and where are you going to respond to people on social? You might find that if you don't identify this, you're going to be getting tons of emails coming in or DMs and all over the place. And then those inboxes go unanswered and then people get frustrated because you didn't answer their questions or you didn't respond. So make sure you set that up ahead of time and direct that traffic to where you want them to go. If you're doing advertising, you're going to want to think about your ad spend. Are you going to be boosting or doing additional digital advertising to promote the content that you're putting out on social media? And then lastly, of course, community building, which we're going to talk more about in a minute. And I know that sounds like a lot. I get so much feedback from clients that are like, oh gosh, I just don't have time. I just don't want to learn how to do it well. It's always changing. And I know that, and I understand that. And I just want to assure you that once you take the time to do this sort of template structure setup of what your strategy is going to be, it's kind of rinse and repeat, right? And I know there's going to be times you're feeling stuck, but you'll be able to rely back on these different categories that I just gave you so that you can continue to create content month after month in a way that is consistent. Okay, let's talk about the platforms. One of the questions I get a lot from clients is, how often should I be posting and what channels do you recommend? And my answer to that is always, I want you to think about social media in terms of quality over quantity and capability. What can you do with the bandwidth that you have to run your business? And I'm going to give you permission right now to not feel compelled to do every channel that's out there, right? You don't have to be everywhere. If you can only do one channel and there's one that you particularly like or you do really well, then that's okay. Just do that one, but do it consistently and do it well. Don't spread yourself so thin that you're not going to be able to be consistent and you're going to feel scattered and you're going to feel like you've failed. And I definitely don't want you to feel like that. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the different channels that we post for on clients. And remember, the book has a lot more on these individual channels. So the first one, of course, is Facebook. That is still the king out there with 306 billion monthly active users. It's where many of your existing and your potential customers are hanging out, especially if you're like most of our clients, where your customer avatar is women, 45 and older. It's great for community building. They've got Facebook Lives. You can do advertising and shopping. It's really a robust platform. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with it because you're users already. And so that's kind of table stakes for most of our clients. Almost everybody that we work with has some sort of presence on Facebook and posting content there. Instagram is a close second, also owned by Meta, the same company that owns Facebook. It's great for visual storytelling, product shots. You can do short form video in Reels. It's great for tutorial content and connecting with younger makers. We know from the data that generally speaking, Instagram skews younger than Facebook. You're not going to find many 20-year-olds on Facebook, whereas Instagram you will. It's easy to cross-post between the two channels using the back-end dashboard called the Meta Business Suite, which unifies both of those. So if you don't have Meta Business Suite set up, that's definitely going to make things a lot easier for you in managing those channels. Pinterest is what I call the unsung hero of the craft world. With 537 million monthly users, it's a discovery search engine. 85% of weekly users go to Pinterest when starting a new project. And we know, and the data shows, it can be one of the top referral sources for website traffic. So if you're managing this channel correctly, you should be able to go into the back end of your analytics and see Pinterest in the top 5. For a lot of our clients, it's top 3. For some of them, it's number 1. And it's so unfortunate that this channel is often overlooked. Everybody does Facebook, then they do Instagram, and then they do Pinterest. And for some of you, Pinterest might be the number 1 channel, and it's worth really investing in that channel. There's a lot of opportunity for what we call long tail value, which just means the staying power of a particular pin. When we audit client channels, so many of them are shocked to see that pins they put on Pinterest years ago are still bringing traffic to their websites. And I can give you an example. One of the clients that we work with did a blog post several years ago about how to display your quilts. And that blog, which we put a pin, which links to the blog and brings them back to the website, is still the number 1 performing inbound traffic referral source for that client. So don't overlook Pinterest. YouTube, of course, we know video almost 100% of the time outperforms static content. And YouTube is owned by Google, so naturally it is a powerhouse of a search engine. So lots of great ideas for content here. Long format tutorials are perfect for YouTube. Behind the scenes content. You can do short form content on there as well. And, because it's a search engine, don't forget about all your SEO best practices. And really, this is true for all the channels, but particularly on YouTube. Don't miss the opportunity to optimize your content on that channel with SEO. And then TikTok. I know a lot of clients will say to me, oh yeah, TikTok, that's that app for the young kids, the teenagers doing all their dance moves. And, I always have to object, because if you are a TikTok user, you know that algorithm is so powerful. And for a while I was, dare I say, a TikTok addict. I was on a lot. And that algorithm, it did not take it very long to show me the content that I wanted to see, which was crafting content and cute puppies. So don't make that assumption that if you're putting content out there, it's not going to land, because it will. And I would say for TikTok, you do need to take the time and energy to generate those original videos on the app. And you might need to do a little bit more frequent posting. But hey, if this is your jam and you love doing sort of spontaneous, shorter form video content, TikTok might be your place. Hey there, everybody. It's Leanne Presley with Stitchcraft. I just wanted to share with you a new announcement we have about a brand new community that we're launching in 2025. You know, crafting's always been about community. So why do less than 20% of craft business owners feel a sense of community with other owners in the craft industry? And that data point comes directly out of our research. We're so busy creating strong communities for our customers that we always forget we need the same level of support and guidance and camaraderie that we have curated for our customers. So our SCM, Stitchcraft Marketing, members only, provides an exclusive dedicated online space for individual and group mentorship, marketing exercises, specialized courses, accountability, and encouragement to help you level up your skills as a craft business owner. The whole community is going to be guided by the marketing professionals that run Stitchcraft Marketing, who, as you know, also love crafting. We are knitters, we're crocheters, we're sewists, we're quilters, we're garment makers. And we've been there in the trenches struggling along with our clients. And so we know what you're seeking as a business owner. If you are a small craft business owner juggling all of those responsibilities to run your business, this community is absolutely for you. Each month, Members Only is going to focus on a different topic related to running an efficient craft business. We'll have coursework, classes, opportunities for personalized coaching and mentorship. So check it out. It's going to be at our website, stitchcraftmarketing.com, and you'll see the tab at the top for Members Only. Hope to see you in there. All right, and I'll touch on a couple of other platforms that we cover for clients sometimes that are really specifically interested in developing community. The first one would be Facebook groups, which is different from your Facebook business page. You know, a group is going to be it's a different format. It's where you have peer-to-peer interaction and your members of the group, which you can vet before you let them into the group, they can also post. So it's wonderful for sharing projects and feedback and getting that interaction among the group going. It's great for that. And I also love that notifications from groups can take precedent, and it works really well to bring those members back into the conversation. And then also, if you have good moderation, like you've maybe asked someone in the group that's maybe a brand ambassador to moderate for you, you can be a little bit more hands-off. Patreon is another one that has exclusive content for your super fans. Now, this is a tiered pricing model where you can monetize the memberships and you determine what that pricing is. You know, some people do $1 a month. Some people have more expensive memberships. Really, it's up to you. But it is another place to put your high quality, high value membership type content into a platform for your super fans to access. And then lastly, there's Ravelry. I want to mention Ravelry just as a place. It's exclusive for the fiber community. So knitters, crocheters, and spinners. It's great for yarn shop owners, for pattern designers, for knitting instructors. You can create your own group where you bring in your customers or your members, or you can also just participate by commenting in other existing groups. You know, you can show yourself as the expert in a certain topic. That's great. And I also might add that advertising on Ravelry is ridiculously affordable. So we love that platform for that. The last time I checked, I think it was $5 per 1,000 views or per CPM. So definitely check that out if you're in the fiber world. Okay, so now that you've chosen the platforms that you think are going to be best according to your capability, your interest, and your avatar and your brand, it's time to create that content. And a lot of the feedback I get from clients is, I hate social media because I'm completely overwhelmed. So I want to just give you a couple of different tips that we use at the agency to help make that more efficient for you. The first thing is we do a monthly strategy calendar. So every month, and for our clients, we just use Excel. We don't have a fancy platform or program. We just use Excel and we do spreadsheets that outlines what that content is going to be for that month across every different channel. So our A column will be what our channels are. And then across the top of the spreadsheet are the dates and or weeks. And then the cells contain the content, the actual words we're putting out there, along with the graphics that we're putting and the links or the hashtags. Really, everything is dumped into this spreadsheet. And I think if you have a team or you're efficient, you can sit down in one fell swoop and outline what all your content is. And then you're just done. You're not waking up midweek going, oh gosh, today I think I need to put something on Instagram. That's how we get into trouble with consistency, is because we're just flying by the seat of our pants. And as a craft business owner, there's so many interruptions that you have in your day. So sitting down and planning it out ahead of time can be really helpful. Once you have that calendar put together, it makes batch creation much easier. So again, you sit down maybe once a week and you spend a couple hours shooting all the photographs and writing all the words and uploading all the content and just doing it in one go. So that might save you a lot of time. The next is permission for you to reuse content across platforms. Not everybody is going to be reading all your content in that moment on that day. So you can reuse content either across the platforms, like you're posting on Instagram and you cross post to Facebook, like if it's a class or an event or something timely. Or you can circulate that content. So if you did a blog post last month on something and you posted it on Facebook, well, now bring it over to Pinterest and post it on Pinterest, or bring it over to a short form video. Think about repurposing and reusing your content so that you're more efficient in the content you have to create. I'm sure a lot of you are using templates, but if you're not, the easy way to do that is going into Canva, where you can set up a brand presence and upload your brand colors, your logos, your fonts, everything you need, even the templates that you're using for the different channels. And then that just makes it super easy. When you do have time to sit down, you're not reinventing the wheel. Those templates are already set up and ready to go. And then lastly, scheduling tools. We love Sprout Social and Only Social. You can also pre-schedule stuff right in the back end of your Meta Business Suite, so that, again, you can sit down in one sitting and plan, 5 or 10 posts, or however ambitious you're feeling about that, and just get those up into those platforms, and then you can set it and forget it. All right, optimizing your channels. So before we're posting, remember that we are building trust with our audience, because as we've said, that's where conversions are happening. So I just want to go through a real quick checklist with you of the best practices we employ here at the agency to make sure that we're helping our clients build that trust. And the first one is something I've already mentioned: is your branding consistent? You've only got less than a second to stop the scroll on some of these social channels. When I'm doing presenting on this topic, I always refer to my daughter, who's in her 20s now. And if you ever saw her scrolling on her Instagram account, you would have less than a second to stop the scroll. And the way that her brain is wired, she will stop the scroll when she recognizes something that she has seen before. So, when you think about either certain content creators or certain brands, they have their logo, their fonts, their colors. And so that triggers something in her brain to stop the scroll, right? She's not consciously thinking about it. And so if your content is different every single time, you're missing that opportunity to take advantage of that brain wiring that's happening, especially with these younger users. So I want you to set up those templates and be super consistent with what your social posts look like. Also, are your handles the same across platforms? Think about that when you're setting those up ahead of time, because again, that recognition and consistency is important. I want to make sure that I'm on using the same handle for Facebook as for Instagram, as for Pinterest, as for TikTok, as for YouTube. Do all your bios include keywords, links when you can have them, hashtags, all of that important information. Utilize Linktree in your bios if you have multiple links that you want to connect out to from your content. is your content organized into categories, albums, highlights, playlists? That's a great way to minimize the friction for your user. If they're coming to your YouTube channel and they're really just interested in the tutorials that you've set up for a certain sweater pattern that you've put out, you can put that into a playlist. And then, as I mentioned earlier, have you told your audience where you prefer to connect with them? You don't want DMs going unanswered. A lot of these details can just go a long way in making it a lot easier for your customers to engage with you and to quickly get them into that place where they're building trust, where they trust you. Okay, next, I'm always harping on data. Too many of you are just out there slapping stuff up on the wall, and you are not taking the time to utilize your data to inform your marketing. And going back to that survey that I mentioned at the top of the session, when we surveyed those 900 craft retailers, they told us only 14% of them were actually set up to collect the data, and only 4% of those 14 were actually looking at their data and using it to inform their marketing strategy. So this is such an overlooked opportunity. If you're out there posting, and I know you guys are spending a ton of time creating all this content, don't you want to know what pieces are actually converting, what channels are actually growing? I think it would save you so much time and efficiency if you knew that. If you had one channel that was far outpacing the rest of them, why wouldn't you double down on that one and then let go of a different one that might not be working well for you? Or the type of content that you're putting out there, if you can pick up on that, why wouldn't you, again, double down on that? So if you're not checking your analytics, which would be like on the back end of your Meta business suite, or all of the channels have a place where you can go in and look at the statistics to see how your content is performing. And what we do even is pull all of that down into a dashboard type platform like Clipfolio or Tableau, or even Excel templates, Report Garden. There's a lot of platforms out there where they will pull all the data from the platforms into a dashboard. And then you just look at that either on a quarterly or a monthly basis. Just would highly encourage you not to neglect the value that robust analytics can provide. Lastly, I will say I know you guys are struggling to keep up with social media. It changes all the time. And I think this is one of the reasons clients want us to manage their social channels, because they're just burned out, right? It's so hard to stay on top of best practices. And there's so many other things you're doing to run your business and keep up with it. And, honestly, that's how our agency started, is clients coming to us and saying, oh my gosh, Leanne, can you do this for me? Because I'm so burned out and I don't want to do it anymore. So, if you're in that place, we definitely can help you with taking that off your plate. So reach out to us about that. But if you're not in that place, I would say there are a couple of ways to stay relevant. One is to subscribe to a few trusted newsletters where you can be informed about platform updates. Also, just being an active user and paying attention. You'll be able to notice when things are changing and how you got to do things differently. I would say, once a week on our Slack channel at the agency, we're talking about, oh, Meta did this, or Facebook's different now, or that button's missing, or, here's another update. So just by being an active user, you can often stay in front of that learning curve. And I think you can follow other people, in the industry to see what is trending, in terms of music clips or styles of videos, or whether it's listicles or whatever it is, you can learn that just by following as well. So, all right, that's all I have for you today. Remember, social media is not just about pretty photos. It's about showing up. It's about telling your stories and giving your audience high quality value and a reason to interact with your brand and build that trust with you. So if you want to learn more, you can get a copy of our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses. And there you're going to find deeper insights. We've got worksheets. We've got loads of examples. And you can get yourself a copy at stitchcraftmarketing.com/magic. And then also, I just want to remind you again, I know you probably heard it in the commercial, but we did start a brand new community. It's our Stitchcraft members only. It's a monthly subscription-based community where you can jump in and get the help that you need from our expert team, as well as other folks in the community. We've got monthly webinars for you. We've got a craft exchange where we're doing live sessions and answering your questions and helping you solve those tricky problems. If you want to learn more about that, it's on our homepage of our website, again, stitchcraftmarketing.com. So until next time, I'm your host, Leanne Presley, wishing you joy, prosperity, and all the creative magic you can muster. So see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business of Craft. Hey, before you go, don't forget about all of our free resources, including our monthly magic newsletter, our twice monthly blogs, our free live monthly office hours where you can jump on, learn a topic, and get a little bit of free consulting, our executive summary of the 2023 research for craft retailers that you can download directly from our website. And we have a lot of tutorial videos as well as recordings of all of our past office hours on our YouTube channel. So find all those resources at our website, stitchcraftmarketing.com. And on our website, you can also purchase a copy of our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses in Kindle, paperback, or audio format. See you next time.